Hi YouTubers, it's Alex now, so it's gonna be Ramble right now, so nice big ass Ramble for Fred. I know Fred likes his Rambles, nice big ass Fred for life. So basically we're talking about the ad populace. So the ad populace has been going on YouTube for about a year and a half now, and I want to discuss, now that I know more about it, the reason I didn't discuss it before is because everyone else was discussing it, and also because I didn't know a lot about it. So basically I want to talk about why is it such a big deal, the dreaded, quote unquote, dreaded yellow dollar sign. So when you submit a video for monetization, obviously partners can never see how much they make. Why is the dreaded yellow dollar sign, which means not suitable for most advertisers, why is that such a big deal? I want to discuss a few reasons. Number one, you can potentially lose your partnership with YouTube in AdSense. So essentially, partners can violate different ways, but one of the ways you can violate is repeatedly submitting vulgar, controversial videos to YouTube and getting the yellow dollar sign repeatedly. Now, plenty of my videos have been tagged the yellow dollar sign, and knock on wood, I'm still a partner. So, I think it's more if you submit very off-color, like really off-color videos over and over again. That's what they're looking for. They can actually kick you out of the partnership program. So that's a big reason. So obviously nowadays I'm very careful, and I only submit videos that contain little or no swearing, or videos that have nothing to do with tobacco. I mean, if it's a tobacco-related topic, I'll submit it as long as it's like health-related, because unfortunately, YouTube doesn't want any videos that glorify the use of any kind of controlled substances, period, so it really sucks. So that's the first thing. The second thing is why it's such a big deal is because you will lose revenue. So now I have to be very careful when I say this, but I will say, quote-unquote, the ad populace thing has affected me as it affected most YouTubers. So I have definitely been affected. I have to be really careful when I say that because I'm a partner, but you get the point. So the third reason, this is probably the most important reason we're talking about the most, the reason I want to talk about the most is because so many more people on YouTube nowadays are YouTube partners, like big ass partners for life. So many more people. See, if the ad populace thing happened 5-10 years ago, even 5 years ago, nobody would give a flying rat's ass like the big ass cigar, because back then, if you were a YouTube partner in 2008, 2010, 2012, that was a super high honor. I mean, you were GD, you know what, damn lucky if you were a partner. I mean, because partners were few and far between back then. I mean, you were very, very lucky if you were a partner. There's a whole, sign-up process you had to go through. We had to submit an application to YouTube. Nowadays, in 2018 and so on, with a click of a button, you can become a partner. That's how easy it is nowadays. Back 5-10 years ago, you had to go through a long sign-up process. Only every 2 months can you submit an application to become a partner, and they were very, very picky, very snobby about, who they accepted as partners. Nowadays, there are literally probably a million more partners on YouTube than there were like 5 or 10 years ago. So that's why it's such a big deal. Now, in recent times, in the last year, YouTube is a little bit more picky with partners. You have to have a certain amount of watch time, hours watched. You have to have a certain amount of subscribers. I believe it's 1,000 and 10,000 video views. So they are getting a little bit more, picky about it. But it's actually pretty reasonable because they want somebody who has decent content. So decent content. You don't want somebody who has 10 videos and 10 subscribers becoming a partner, because that's not really worth paying. So whatever amount of money, even if it's just pennies. So it's like, the reason it's such a big deal nowadays, YouTube has just exploded in the last 10 years. I mean, there's YouTube apps, there's YouTube this. I mean, it's just, that's why it's so much a big deal. Because see, if the ad populace thing happened 10 years ago, even 3 years ago, nobody would really give a shit. It's like, no one would really care. It's like, nobody would give a crap, because so few people were partners and so few people were making money. It's like, nowadays there are people on YouTube who do YouTube for a living. They rely on YouTube to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage, to pay their cable bill and electricity bill and water and heating bill. I mean, 10 years ago, you were damn lucky if you were able to do that. I mean, you were like, a big time YouTuber if you were able to do that. I mean, there were very few people, like a handful of people, who were able to do that, do YouTube for a living. Nowadays, 10 years later, there are plenty of people. YouTube, Google is such a big ass company, like the big ass cigar. I mean, they can easily afford to do that. So it's like there are plenty of people nowadays who do YouTube for a living. As long as you have, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but I mean, I think there are people who have around 1 million subscribers who are very comfortably do YouTube for a living, very comfortable. So, I mean, that's why it's such a big deal. When you're a big time partner, is how big is a big boy, big ass cigar for life, and you're depending when you upload that video to make you decent revenue. That's why it's such a huge freaking deal that if your video gets the dreaded, quote unquote, dreaded $sign, a yellow $sign. So that's why it's such a big deal. 10 years ago, if this happened, nobody would give a shit. So, big ass cigar for life, bye.